Yo, what's up movie people? I hope you're all doing well. Thunderbolts just came out, my reviews on the channel, but that marked the end of Marvel's Phase 5. So today we're going to rank and put all the Phase 5 Marvel movies in a tier list. We have 6 to go through. Before we get started, make sure to leave a like as it is free to do so and it helps me out a lot. But first up is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I'm going to be kind of harsh this video because, as I said before, I've had a love and hate relationship with Marvel these last few years, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania kind of started that cycle for me, as it's just a mess, visually and story-wise. And I was really never a fan of the Ant-Man movies. The first one was, it was decent. I kind of like it. Second one, couldn't care less about it. And this third one, it's insanely weak. Not only because we're not even following the plot line anymore in this movie with Jonathan Majors as Kang. Kang is now no more. Kang has been defeated basically after Loki season 2. Kang was pretty good in this movie though. I kind of liked him, but the whole Quantumania going into this realm, as I said, was just a mess. It visually looked uninteresting and it looked terrible. The volume that they used, CGI, it was too much of that. There's only so much volume that you can use without it making it look like it's just like we're in a video game. I just didn't believe for a second we were in there. And then MODOK in this movie, it was just a lackluster to say the least. And I don't like Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp. I think that she's just kind of an annoying character. Paul Rudd though as Ant-Man is pretty cool. I did like, his daughter in this movie. I thought that she was pretty good. But overall, it's just a huge misstep for the MCU, and it probably detoured a lot of fans from watching all the other Phase 5 movies. So I'm going to put Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania in the bad tier. Next up, we have the Marvels, which I know a lot of people did not like this movie. I thought it was decent. It was okay. This kind of reminds me of the Ant-Man series. The Captain Marvel movies, I know there's only 2 of them right now, but they just haven't really been that exciting. The first one made $1 billion, but that was mainly because it came before Endgame and had a really exciting post-credit scene teasing what was to come in Endgame. But the movie as a whole, the first one, it was okay. It's a little bit better than the second one, but it doesn't have that much going for it, as Captain Marvel really isn't that interesting of a character so far in the Marvel Universe. Carol Danvers, she's fine. Brie Larson as an actress, I really like her in some of her other roles, especially Room. But this one, I just don't think the writing's been that great. The second one though, with Miss Marvel, she added a lot more charisma to the movie, a lot more laughs. I do like Miss Marvel a decent bit. I like this trio, but it sadly lacked great writing again. And the villain in this movie, god damn, the villain is weak. I don't remember the villain at all. It was like a girl with like a hammer. I think she had purple hair. That's all I remember, man. That's really all I remember. It's terrible villain work. The actress that played the villain really didn't do much to make us remember her. The ending of this movie is so funny too, because the Captain Marvel movies have very important post-credit scenes. Like the post-credit scene of this one is Photon, going into a different universe because the incursions, and she's in the OG X-Men universe. So that's a very important post-credit scene, and no one saw this movie. I think this is one of Marvel's biggest flops ever. Do I think it's a terrible movie? No, but I just find it to be okay. Now we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn's last MCU movie before he basically went to DC, and now he's running DC Studios. And, this movie restored a lot of faith for me back in Marvel, but I still had a little bit of reservations because this is, of course, James Gunn. He operates on a different side of Marvel compared to the main story. Of course, we see the Guardians, but, the Guardians are really a separate kind of space universe for Marvel. They don't really interact too much with the Marvel characters outside of the big event movies. But the Guardians movies have always been top notch. I was talking about the Ant-Man, Captain Marvel movies, always been mid. The Guardians movies have always been that top notch level of movie. I remember when the first one was coming out, I was pretty young, but a lot of people didn't have a lot of faith in them. They're like, who are the Guardians? No one knows them. They're like comics characters. But when people saw Guardians 1, it became, a big phenomenon. People love them. James Gunn has an impeccable style that he goes with this movies, makes them extremely emotional, but also has a lot of laughs, and visually they're stunning. I forget who the cinematographer of the Guardians movies are, but it's a visually stunning movie. He also does such a great job at making music in these movies mean a lot for the characters, and it means a lot for the audience, as a lot of audience members know the songs here, and they're very famous songs. They work so well with these scenes. I actually remember the first movie, I think it was the first movie I saw twice in theaters, was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I know some people think it's a big step down for the first one. Yeah, I think it is worse than the first one, but I still think it's amazing. It's like a 9 out of 10, and both the third one and the first one, like 10 out of 10s for me. And this third one was extremely sad. The Guardians, they're not going to be the same anymore. The members are split because Gamora is not the same Gamora. She's not with the Guardians anymore. And but the post-credit scene of this third one is cool to see Groot, like a big full-age Groot. He's a big guy now. Peter Quill, he's back on Earth now, so that's kind of interesting. But he's hopefully coming back. Hopefully see the rest of these Guardians members come back with that new member. I also love the villain of this movie. I thought he was extremely cool, really well used, and the Rocket storyline here was extremely sad, but it made for a huge emotional impact. So I'm gonna put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in the amazing tier. Now we have Deadpool and Wolverine, the only Marvel movie that came out last year. I know we had a couple shows from last year, but this was the only Marvel movie from last year, and it did make $1 billion. It's like the first Marvel movie in a long time that made $1 billion. It was this one, and then before that it was Spider-Man, and before that I think it was the Avengers movies. So they had a big hit for this one. It's of course the big multiverse movie of Deadpool bringing back so many X-Men characters. Got to see Gambit, got to see Wesley Snipes come back as Blade. It was a huge theater event. My theater went crazy for those cameos. I think it's an awesome movie. Do I think it's like a top 5, top 10 Marvel movie? No, I don't think that. Multiple rewatches of it, I found some issues here and there, and the third act of this movie doesn't really work as well as the first 2 acts. I think that the bus scene really didn't work for me, especially because it's just kind of a really CGI fight, especially when they jump out of the bus. You can tell it's just CGI doubles, and as I've grown up, I can see more through that. So it kind of sucks to see more through that, because I know little kids are like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." It doesn't take away the whole movie for me, because I think the first 2 acts are very strong, especially that opening scene with Bye Bye Bye, with Deadpool using Wolverine's body as a weapon. That's a fantastic scene. I love the car fight between him and Wolverine, and the Greatest Showman song comes on. And as we said before, the stuff in the void is pretty cool. You got Chris Evans returning as Johnny Storm, so you can't just make everything say it's bad just because that third act fight scene wasn't great. The ending is pretty good. Love to see Daphne Keane come back. But yeah, the first 2 acts are still very strong for me, so I'm still going to put Deadpool and Wolverine in the great tier. Now we got the last 2 movies of Phase 5 to cover. The first 2 movies of this year, we of course have Fantastic Four, but that's Phase 6. But the first movie that Marvel had this year was Captain America: Brave New World. It used to be New World Order, I think that's what it's called. This movie had a lot of issues in its production, had a lot of reshoots. I'm not sure if it was because of strikes they had reshoots or just story issues. The script wasn't that great in this movie overall. This is another weak point for Marvel for me. I think that this one, it's not terrible, but it also isn't good. It's just fine, I would say. It has a lot of visual issues, of course, because I think those reshoots hurt this movie a lot, especially if you've seen the Hulk versus Captain America fight at the end. There's just some shots in there that look ugly as hell, and it doesn't even look real. I like the Hulk stuff. I don't like the stuff with the leader. I think the leader has an ugly design. It came out that they made the comic book accurate design of the big head, and then they changed it back to this ugly design. I don't understand why they did that. It's weird. It was such a good grounded movie in the beginning, the first half, and then we got the Hulk stuff. I really don't think the Hulk should have been in this movie as much as I liked, the Hulk action in the end. I just don't think Captain America vs. Hulk is that enticing of a movie, because are we going to nerf Hulk? Are we just going to make Captain America overpowered? And Sam Wilson, he never took the serum, which I think is another fault of the MCU. I wish he had taken the serum, because every time I watch him fight, an alien or something, I'm like, how is he winning these fights? He's not even had the serum. How does he do it? But still, I think the first half operates pretty well. It's like this spy thriller. And then you get to the leader, and I'm like, oh no, this guy looks horrible. And then it goes into other directions. I'm like, it has some great scenes in here, especially with some great fight scenes in the beginning. But then by the end, I'm like, it's just a CGI mess. You got to make it, there's no point to make it a CGI mess when it was so great as a small, low skilled and kind of grounded movie. So for that, I'm just going to put Captain America in the okay tier. Last up, we have Thunderbolts, our newest and last Marvel movie from Phase 5. Thunderbolts, I'm such a huge fan of this movie. It restored my faith. You know, my faith was a little bit lost because Captain America, but now I'm back, and I think we're going to be back again for Fantastic Four. I think that's going to be another great movie, and the post-credit scene of this movie you don't want to miss. It really gets you ready for those next movies in this Marvel universe. But I loved how this was a grounded story. You know, Captain America was grounded in the beginning, but then it wasn't grounded in the end. This was grounded from the beginning to the end. Even with, you know, a huge character like Sentry joining the bunch, it still served as a grounded superhero movie. There's a great line in this movie how Yelena's like, "So none of us have flying powers. So we have to punch and shoot our way out of this." That's a great line. You know, it's sometimes cool to have really powerful characters that can fly, you know, shoot lasers out of their head. Sometimes you just want some grounded story and got a great script, and I think that this script was great. It's got some great laughs in here, great emotional moments with Yelena, because this is more of a mature movie about like mental health, depression, what these characters go through. And I love this ragtag team. By the end, you love them. You can't wait to see them again. They're like a family for you. The action sequences are really great. I love the one in the bunker in the beginning, the one at the end, and the one kind of with Bucky chasing him on a car in like the desert. That's in the trailers. Don't worry about it being a spoiler, but it's in the trailers. I loved everything about this movie. I think it gets better on every rewatch. I'm seeing it tonight for a third time. I cannot wait to go see it again. But yeah, I think that this movie kind of felt like a phase 3 or phase 2 Marvel movie, the great ones from those phases. It just brings B or C list characters that you either liked a little bit or didn't like a lot in other projects. Like Ghost and AntMan and the Wasp, I didn't really like her. But in this movie, I think she's upgraded a lot. So I cannot wait to see these characters again in Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars. I think they're going to be really cool additions to those movies as they just were awesome here. So Thunderbolts, I'm going to put it in the amazing tier. Phase 5, you know, look at the tier list. It was all over the place. We got some amazing, we got one in great, none in good, some okay, and then one in the bad tier. So to rank them, Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's alone in the bad tier because it's a bad movie. Okay tier, I'm going to leave it like that. I do think The Marvels is better than Captain America Brave New World, but I could understand an argument saying that, you know, Captain America is better. Great tier, only one Deadpool Wolverine. Amazing tier, I'll leave it like that. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a top 5 Marvel movie. I think Thunderbolts is a new entry into my top 10 Marvel movies of all time. So yeah, that's my ranking of the Phase 5 Marvel movies. Leave your own down below in the comments, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Why, you got someplace to be?
I love that guy.